Yo, welcome to Movie Addicts. I'm your host, Ilya, along with Owen.
Hello there.
And today we are going to be talking about Isle of Dogs. It's a movie that Owen suggested. So, what do you think of the movie?
Well, I'm gonna give a bit of background first, because it's when it came out 2 years ago or a year ago, something like that.
2 years ago.
Yeah, it's a pretty recent movie, but it's by Wes Anderson, who's like one of my favorite directors. He made the Fantastic Mr. Fox movie. That was his first like stop motion movie, and then this was his second one. So like when I saw this movie was coming out, I was hyped for it, and then I just didn't see it for 2 years, and I only saw it for the first time this week. So I watched it, and I thought it was a movie. It was for sure a movie. I don't think it was a good movie. But
I mean, I really liked it personally. I thought like the story was really good, and like the way that things folded, and like the little bits of like comedy used. What the idea that I really liked in it that kind of shocked me was the fact that they actually made the dogs speak English and the humans Japanese, which I thought was really interesting in a way, because there's the dogs don't kind of understand us, and like because like sit and stuff like that. And I thought that was really unique that they kind of did it that way, so they can communicate with themselves by speaking English, and it's mainly about them because that's why it's English, and then the humans speak Japanese and we can't really understand what they're saying.
Yeah, I really liked that. It confused me at first, but then I quickly realized, like, oh, the dogs are English, the people are Japanese, they don't understand each other. It's just like real life.
Yep.
Like, Wes Anderson has quite his own style. Like, he likes to, I don't know how to describe it, but, like, it's very symmetrical, and his shots have a lot of planning out, and, like, the way people are positioned and the way they deliver dialogue. Like, it's so different from anything else. And, I mean, personally, I really like it. Like, in Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's, like, one of my all-time favorite movies. Just the way it all works out. Yeah. Do you like his style?
Yeah, I really do, and I wonder really how much work he puts into that stuff, because you could tell like everything was done very perfectly. Even like when there's like a windy scene, the hairs move ever so slightly on the dog, so it was done very well.
Yeah, like just the attention to detail with all the stop motion stuff. Like that's, even though, because I mean my biggest problem was the story, but like ignoring the story, I just loved the way it looked, and I loved watching it. It was, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really liked the story, but like at the end, I thought it was like a little anticlimactic again.
But like I love the dynamics between the characters. Like there's the main group of dogs with Chief, and then the four other guys who I don't remember, except for the one guy who's always like, "So have you heard the rumor about this?"
Yeah, they all have their own personality. It was good.
Yeah. But I mean, my favorite scene was definitely the one at the beginning when they all find the trash bag, and there's the two groups of dogs. And like, we should probably open it to see what we're fighting for.
Oh, it's just a bunch of trash. Yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get like the comedy. Good. The comedy was great.
Yeah.
It always landed.
I bite.
Yeah.
There's just little subtle things like that makes the connection between dogs and stuff. That they really played with that.
Yeah, it's I think that's the first good talking dog movie I've ever seen.
Well, I know which my favorite cat movie of all time. Cats. Oh man.
I was a bit worried that the copy, like when I first started and they were speaking Japanese, I was worried that the copy I was watching didn't have subtitles, and I wouldn't understand the entire movie because it would all be in Japanese. I mean, I quickly realized I was wrong, and but I really liked how when we needed to understand the Japanese, they had like the English translators there. Yep. Translating it.
Well, even in the beginning, they had like little subtitles underneath the Japanese words, and I was like, wait, is this a Japanese movie? I quickly exited Netflix and checked, and it was English dub, so I was like, oh, okay, this should be fine.
I really liked how stylized the titling was in it.
Yeah.
Like, it was so cool. I did feel it was used way too much. Like how, you know how it was divided up into 3 chapters, I think it was?
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit like that was a little unnecessary, but
Yeah, like having
eh,
the different chapters didn't really add much to the movie.
yeah.
All right. Do you want to start talking spoilers? Because, like, all my problems I have are spoilers. So,
All right, this is fair warning. If you haven't watched the movie and you want to watch it, go watch it. It's on Netflix. You can get it on whatever buying movie platform you have. With that, it's just fair spoiler alert. Let's get into it.
all right. Like I said, yeah, it's the story. I just really didn't like the story. There were parts of it I liked, but I mean, overall, I it just wasn't good enough.
I thought the story was okay, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it was very predictable. Like from the
Yeah.
very opening scene when there's the group of dogs and then the leader and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a stray." I was like, "Okay, so the movie's going to be about him like learning to accept people and all that stuff." Like you saw that coming from
Yeah,
miles
you
away.
more or less kind of saw it, but like how he changed was kind of a little bit like, oh, well, I didn't really see that. You knew he was gonna change, you just didn't know how
Yeah, well,
in
yeah,
what
when it's
way.
revealed that he's Spot's brother, that was
Yeah,
yeah. But like there were lots of little things that it played it up like, oh, it's going to be a shocking surprise. Like when they found the skeleton of the dog in the cage and they thought it was Spot, but it wasn't.
yeah.
Like you saw that coming cuz half the collar was covered. And
I
then
mean, yeah,
when they wash Chief and he turns into the white dog, they act like it's a big surprise that they're brothers even when like they're the same breed. Like you're
yeah.
like I don't know. I don't know if it was just me, but I completely saw that twist coming.
I mean, like you could tell, like when you watched him, and then he was like, then he was showing the picture of him, and he was like, oh well, there's many of breeds like mine. I don't know, it could be anybody.
I did find it really funny though that he was so dirty that he was in a completely black dog, and then when he gets washed, he's
Yeah,
just white.
yeah, that was kind of like another comedic effect in it, I think.
Yeah, and like I said, the comedy lands really well. Again, I felt like there were almost too many characters because there's the main cast of dogs and
Yeah.
the 4 sidekicks. You don't really get to know them. Like all I remember is one was a baseball mascot and the other just like to spread rumors.
Oh
I can't
yeah.
even remember the other two.
The other two were the one that always says, "Oh yeah, let's take a vote,"
Oh yeah,
and then there was one. Uh, there was another one that was always confused or something. I don't
I don't
remember.
remember. Yeah, yeah. So they were kind of there. I loved that they were there because they were really funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but then there was like the female dog from the beginning that
Oh
just
yeah.
sort of came back at the end. Like she did nothing.
I mean, he and that stray dog had or she and that stray dog had their like own monologues or whatever.
Yeah, but like you take that out of the movie and it doesn't change anything.
Yeah, in a sense. It was kind of like a little unnecessary, like a kind of scene where it's like I guess a little more personality scene, but other than that, it wasn't really necessary.
Because like, I mean, I guess it kind of develops his character, but I mean, he still gets developed a lot when he's with the kid. Like he learns the same thing from
Yeah,
the other dog and the kid, more so the kid.
yeah.
Then there's the other subplot with the exchange student,
Oh yeah.
which like again, I just got bored whenever it was scenes with her.
I mean, I think it was kind of like to take away from the actual thing to show that, like, yeah, she was. The reason why she was doing it is because her like dog was like deported onto that island, and I think
Mhm.
she even though she was a conspiracy theorist herself, she wanted to get like kind of justice in a way.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of like had, I guess that's kind of why her dog, which was that girl dog
Mhm.
with stray dog, that's why she was kind of there. But other than that, like
Like I mean, it fit the narrative purpose. It served a job in the story. It
yeah,
wasn't as entertaining as the scenes with the other dogs on the island. Like
yeah. Well, I mean, this movie is also titled Isle of Dogs, which means Island of Dogs.
yeah.
So it, the main story is obviously going to be about the dogs, but
Mm.
still, like it was a, it was a, like it was an okay idea.
Yeah.
And then there was that hacker guy that reminds me of Peter.
I forgot about the hacker guy because he like gets briefly mentioned and then he's in at it again, and I'm like, oh right, that's a person. In the
It's like,
movie.
hey, I remember you.
Yeah. You know what was really cool that I noticed is whenever there was like a TV screen or something that was drawn in like 2D animation as opposed to I thought that was so cool. So like I think when it comes down to it, I really liked the way it was made, but I didn't like the story.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I thought I thought the story was okay. Like, it was kind of like your normal story. Like, yeah, it was a unique idea with dogs, but it wasn't really something super special in a way. But it was still overall enjoyable.
Yeah,
It was
well, yeah.
still good.
I by no means had a bad time. I really liked watching it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. I think my expectations were too high. That was my only problem.
Whenever I watch a movie, I always set my expectations like, yeah, it's gonna be a good movie, but it's also gonna be a bad movie. So I kind of set it in the middle, and that's why. And then I always start like my rating of the movie, and as the movie goes on, it goes up and down. So in a way, like I start off at 3 stars, and then it can either go up or down or up.
Yeah.
The cannibal dogs part was like a good little thing, a bit that they had.
Oh,
yeah,
right,
he's gone
yeah.
to the cannibal dogs, so no, we gotta save him from the cannibals.
The entire timeline really, like, I got confused at the beginning because it talked about the story about how they tried to exile the dogs, and then there were the cats, and then they dumped all the dogs onto the island. It just like, I don't think you need to fully understand it in order to get what happens in the movie. But like,
Yeah.
I just didn't get it.
I mean, I more or less got it in a way.
Like, I got that they were all anti-dog, and that's why they put the dogs on the island. But I didn't understand how that related to the story at the beginning about the kid cutting the person's head off.
Oh, okay. I'll explain this to you. I
Alrighty.
got that part. So basically, the kid cutting the guy's head off, that was in ancient times. So we're going back into like the ancient Japanese history, and where like the dogs were their own race, and then there was the Japanese. Then they had like this huge war back then, and then because the dogs were losing and they were about to be like stuff, there was this one warrior, the boy warrior or the dog warrior. I don't even remember his name, but he came and chopped the emperor's head off, who was leading this assault against the dogs. And eventually, like, the war got to peace or whatever. They were tamed and stuff. Blah blah blah. And then it's flashing back all the way into now, and a similar thing is happening.
Oh, okay.
So it like, for me, it was easy to understand because I've like followed the plot of stories very easily. I can get it very well, but yeah, I don't know. It wasn't too hard for me to understand.
Yeah, I think it was. I just had trouble understanding the beginning because it kept jumping back and forth between things, you know?
Yeah, I understand that.
Because like it had the intro bit, then it showed the dogs being jumped onto the island, and then we meet our main dogs, but then we go back in time to before dogs were put on the island, but then we go back in time to Spot, and then finally the story starts. Like there's a good 20 minutes of setup before you can actually get into the story.
Yeah, which I thought was okay, but like...
No, yeah, and I mean, it's not like it was boring. It was super entertaining. All of it.
Yeah, but again, like for you, it was like for some people, it's not hard to follow. It's like a little bit more difficult to follow, but for people like me, like it's not that hard.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a hit or miss with that kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
What did you think of the ending?
The ending, it wasn't bad. I felt like the bit about if the president gets like accused of a crime, then his youngest family member or the next family member in line automatically becomes president. I didn't like that. It
I was a little confused on that. I was like, it didn't mention it like at all at the story. It was like all of a sudden introduced, and then you're just kind of like, wait, since when did this happen?
Yeah, although it just reminds me of all the president scenes, which I really loved. Like there's the scene where the scientist, he has the vaccine for the dog virus or whatever it's called,
Yeah.
and he hands it to the president, and he looks at it, and then he just opens up his fireplace and puts it in.
And he also puts in like the cards that said, "Oh yes, this works" and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he just dismisses him. Then he later poisons him with like poison wasabi.
Yeah.
It was great.
And then there was also that scene where it's the president and he's going through congratulating like all the different corrupt politicians for like going through and brainwashing people that dogs are bad. Like,
Great job.
I can't remember what any of the examples were, but it was just a hilarious scene. Like, I love it.
Yeah, it was a really, really, really funny scene.
Yeah. The style and the comedy were like my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah.
That's where most of my points come for it. Yeah.
Like, other than that, like it was good. It was good for me. I really liked it. It was good.
Yeah. I feel the more I talk about it, I feel the more I like it. I don't know if I'd go back to rewatch it at this point.
I don't think it's a rewatchable. I don't think it needs to be rewatched unless you really like it and you want to like, oh yeah, I want to show like my younger like cousin or whatever. Then yeah, you can like show it to them. And, like, it's cool to rewatch, but it's not something that you would go and rewatch or like, oh yeah, I need to understand it a second time. Kind of like Killing of a Sacred Deer, where you need to watch it twice. Yeah. Which I did rewatch.
Oh, that's Did you like it on your second viewing more?
Yes, I actually did. Yes. Yeah. It is now a 3.5 out of 5.
Hey, that's higher than a 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, just talking about rewatching. I think it's fair to compare Isle of Dogs to Fantastic Mr. Fox just because same director, same style. I think Fantastic Mr. Fox is better. I mean that's probably just personally, but
I mean, I haven't watched it, so I think I gotta like add that to my watch list.
Oh, definitely watch it. It's anyone listening, go watch Fantastic Mr. Fox. It is a kids movie, but it's like the best kids movie ever made. I absolutely love it. It's very similar to Isle of Dogs because I mean it's Wes Anderson still, and it's the same stop motion style of making the movie. But it's just the characters are all great, and there's so many of them, and then there's the comedy. It's all on point, and it's great. So you ready to rate Isle of Dogs?
Yeah, I think you should go first on this one.
Okay. So after I watched the movie, I would have said I would rate it a 3 out of 5. After talking about it, I feel like it might be 7 out of 5, but I think for now I'm just gonna stick with 3 out of 5. So
7 out of 5.
Oh, no, 7 out of 10, which is a 3.5 out of 5.
7 out of 5. Oh, after I talk about it, it's now the best movie ever made. Yeah. For me, I personally really like the movie. I would rate it a 4 out of 5. After talking about it, still pretty solid 4 out of 5. I would definitely recommend watching it, especially if you have like a younger sibling or something around. It's a story that's really, really good in a way.
I don't think though it's supposed to be a kids movie. Like younger audiences can definitely watch it, but
yeah. I think it's more for like a semi-mature audience, kind of like not really our age, but a little bit younger.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're older, you can definitely enjoy it too. Like I still enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, my parents when they watched the movie with me, and they said that the camera shots were very bland. It seemed 2D, and I was like, they shift around like a lot as well. Like sometimes it's stationary, but remember this is stop motion. Not saying that stop motion is what's it called? Like, it has to be stationary. It has to be one camera angle. It doesn't have to be like that. But for this, like you have to give an exception. This is like this person has done a really great job, but I don't think people fully appreciate it.
Yeah, but I mean it's also all part of the style. Like. It's consistent throughout the whole movie, and it's part of the style of the movie, and it works so well, and I think it just looks great. Well, I think that was a nice little discussion of Isle of Dogs.
Yes, I think so.
Alrighty, so our next episode, we're having a guest on. and we're going to be talking about... Oh, I just forgot the name of the movie. Welcome to Marwen. That's what it is. Welcome to Marwen. That's what we're going to be talking about next episode. So, yeah.
Yep.
Whenever that ends up coming out, that's what we'll be talking about.
Like, I'm already looking at the ratings of it. It has a surprisingly low rating. I don't know why.
Yeah. I remember when it came out. When was it? I don't know, but I remember seeing mixed reviews about it. Which, I mean, mixed reviews is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, because, like, it means you could really like it, but it means you could also really hate it. So, yeah, I'm trying to stay away from that and go in blind. I feel like, because, I mean, I used to, when I want to see a movie, I'd watch, like, all the trailers, all the reviews and stuff before watching the movie, and, like, that would just kind of ruin it for me. So now I try to go in as blind as possible, and that I feel like it just makes the movie a lot more enjoyable, knowing nothing about it when you go in to watch it.
Yeah, well, for me, I think that, what's it called? When I looked at when I look at movies, first thing I do before anything, I look at the reviews, and then that I kind of, like, put that as a standpoint, as, like, okay, what should my expectations be on it? And then I kind of look at the what's it called, the trailer, and I go, okay, all right, well, now that I've seen kind of what it's generally about and what are generally people saying, I can kind of have my own opinion where I can go in and go, okay, this would be my standard. It can either exceed it or not be.
Yeah, I mean, I always open Letterboxd and look at the average rating of the movie, no matter what.
Yeah. Speaking of Letterboxd, we have it as well. If you guys want to go check us out, if you have it, our links would be in the description. Yep.
I better not forget to put those in when I'm uploading the video.
Don't worry. Owen watches movies every day. I forget to do reviews every day. I try my best to put stuff on Letterboxd. I sometimes just forget. I've watched maybe 4 or 5 movies. I haven't put a single one on Letterboxd. No, probably more. I need to start putting stuff on Letterboxd. After this, I'm putting stuff on Letterboxd.
I whenever I watch a movie, I write a review for it and put it up on Letterboxd. So
yeah,
you get pretty much a movie review from me every day up on Letterboxd if you follow me. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching this great episode of Movie Addicts. Please go like, subscribe, and we'll see you around next time.
Au revoir.